And Director Herbert, once we get everything set up, you are good to begin whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you very much.
It's not. Okay, one moment. Let me try again. Will you try it now? Will you try the other mic?
Test one.
Oh, okay. You need to push the button on the mic to the right. There you go.
Test one.
We can hear you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, council members. I'm Bill Herbert. Thank you very much for being here. I'm the Director of the Codes Department. I have with me tonight, on my right, is Operational Director Byron Hall. On my left, I've got our Assistant Director and our Budget Analyst, Alicia Swan. In the back, I've got Deputy Director Brady Rich. I've got, also in the back, I've got Assistant Director over Property Standards, Bill Penn. And I've got our Public Information Manager, Will Dodd. I was the codes director for a number of years, and then I took a sabbatical and went out into the private world. I was there for about 2.5 years, and during that time, Byron Hall, to my right, was the director of the codes department, and under his capable leadership, the codes department has done well. I think that the fact that I've been back here for almost 3 months, not quite, I think that it's fitting and appropriate that Byron take the lead for our presentation tonight. So I'm going to hand it over to Byron.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak. I want to start by saying that the Codes Department will be able to operate within the mayor's proposed operating budget. We will use existing resources to maintain the highest possible levels of service while moving forward with vital initiatives and programming. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Kristen Wilson, Kevin Crumbo, and their teams. We certainly appreciate the support of the mayor's office and the finance department. I'd also like to take this time to thank the entire staff of the Codes Department for their hard work and continued dedication to keeping Nashville buildings and neighborhoods safe. Their commitment certainly doesn't go unnoticed. Our core mission at the Codes Department is to issue construction and use-related permits and perform all safety-related inspections. Administer and enforce Title 16 of the Metropolitan Code relating to building construction and the exterior of properties. We also administer and enforce Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code, which is a zoning code. And this governs the use of properties as well as the size, height, and location of buildings on a piece of property. So this fiscal year to date, we've responded to over 42,000 building and property violation complaints submitted via hub, phone, and email, and responded to countless inquiries regarding zoning and short-term rental uses. Our building and trades division have performed over 149,000 inspections, and we've issued more than 50,000 total permits. We continue to strive to find new ways and opportunities to innovate and improve our services. Some of the new services we've implemented, in addition to staggering annual renewal dates for residential and commercial alarm permits and sending out automated renewal notices, customers can now print their own alarm permits through the CityWorks and e-permit system. This eliminates wait time for customers, it streamlines the work for staff, and it improves the sustainability by reducing paper consumption. We continue to encourage our citizens to save money and time and pay online. I think that was our statement last year that everybody kind of laughed at, what they call it, our I forget the term they use, but save time and pay online. Our electrical divisions, the NES release program that we had instituted remains successful, and we've completed over 8,500 service releases this fiscal year. And in FY25, we'll continue to work on an additional gas meter release program. Soon our inspectors will be able to approve gas meter releases, and these releases will be sent directly to Piedmont through our CityWorks permit workflow process. These communications will be improved between the utility, Piedmont, and codes, and customers will receive gas meters faster. The time saved will allow our staff to focus more on inspections, and again, we will reduce our carbon footprint by saving the paper. A lot of these things wouldn't be possible, so as we want to give special thanks to our former ITS Director, Keith Durbin, and ITS Division Manager, Amy Neal. Without their continuous support and the CityWorks team, these changes wouldn't be possible each year. Moving on to the current state of codes, we expect to come in under budget at year end, and we'll again achieve savings as best we can without compromising staff and customer needs. On the revenue side, year to date, we've collected over $25 million. And this exceeds expenses year to date by over $11 million. We anticipate revenue collections of over $29 million by the fiscal year end. For FY24, we project that we'll issue in a total of over 12,000 building permits, and our total permit issuance would end up being somewhere around 60,000. We further project that the construction value of these building permits through the year, through the end of the fiscal year will exceed $4 billion. Although the revenue isn't expected to exceed our annual goal, with FY23 collections of over $36 million, our FY24's projected collections at $29 million, and our last 5-year average of $30 million, we continue to contribute exponential amounts to the general fund. In 2000, we had 107 positions at the Codes Department. Today, we have 166 positions. In that same time span, the value of Nashville's construction's growth increased from $1.3 billion to over $5.8 billion in FY23. This year being called a flat year, we're still in the 6th highest valued year since Code's existence. The value of construction growth increased by 308% in the last 23 years, and the Codes Department staffing level has grown by 55%. So we continue to move in the right direction. An independent consultant study completed in 2018 recommended that we have 6.5 property inspectors for every 100,000 citizens. And with Nashville's over 700,000 citizens, that's around 45 inspectors, and we currently are staffed at 39. Last year's recommendation of 6 property standards inspectors put us over the 82% mark as we continue to grow and expand our community outreach while being more proactive. Over the past 2 fiscal years, we were awarded 40 essential positions, 32 of them supported by an independent consultant. And we're proud to say that 73% of those positions have been filled, including all property standards positions. Although no increases are recommended for our FY25 budget, we ask to maintain our baseline to fill remaining vacancies and continue executing our core functions for the improvement of our neighborhoods and communities. We have reduced our vacancies by 50%, going from 34 last July to 17 currently as of today. We're very grateful to Director Shannon Hall of HR and her team for recommending a pay grade increase for our inspection staff in July. With this improvement, we're confident that we'll be able to compete with other jurisdictions and departments to recruit and retain staff, qualified staff. That's been a real issue for our department over the past couple of years, being able to maintain quality staff, just due to the difference in what some other jurisdictions are paying. We've also been working diligently with General Services over the past several years on office space renovations. I'm happy to say that with General Services assistance, we've been able to reconfigure existing office space to create additional workspaces within the Metro office building where we're housed. I expect these projects to wrap up over the summer, and we will then have enough space to not only fill every remaining vacancy for the next several years, but to fill vacancies that give us room to grow over the next several years. In addition to filling the majority of our vacancies, I'm proud to say that we've been able to fill several positions with both bilingual and multilingual candidates. We now have 6 full-time staff members who can assist limited or non-English speaking customers. Last November, we applied and were selected, we applied and were selected as one of only 5 Metro departments to participate in the Tennessee Language Center's Language Access Pilot Program. This program allows us 24/7, 365 access to a language hotline with interpreters along with document translation services. And we've used these tools to assist hundreds of non-English speaking customers and many more virtually, with translated documents being available online. Last but not least, we want to thank Erin Williams and her team at Hub Nashville for our continued and growing partnership. Since last fall, we've established a dedicated Hub queue manager for every major division of codes, along with hiring an internal Hub coordinator who serves as department liaison and trainer. Our customers will now have the ability to submit requests for every division in codes and have multiple staff fielding and responding in a timely manner. Language access and Hub capacity expansion are great examples of how codes is committed to do more with existing resources. And regardless of the economic forecast, we're optimistic about the current and future state of this hardworking and resilient department. Metro Code remains dedicated in doing our part to make Nashville one of the best customer services agency in the state. And with that, I'll say it's both an honor and a privilege to work with this governing body and the mayor's office, and that we would be happy to field any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all of you all's hard work and the things that you do to keep things afloat here in our city. We'll start off with our Government and Operations and Regulations Committee Chair, Chair Bradford, and then after Chair Bradford, we'll go to Budget and Finance Vice Chair, Chairwoman Toombs, and then we will go to Council Lady Allen, and then Council Lady Quinn Evans Siegel, and then Council Lady Gamble. All right, Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, welcome back. I know you missed us. I do want to thank y'all for, first of all, the not asking for additional FTEs when you still have unfilled positions. You know, in past years, we've had a lot of issues and fights this time of year with departments asking for more full-time positions when they still have unfilled for previous years. So it just doesn't make sense. So I appreciate that. My questions are, can you explain when you've got in there that we are need money to rent or lease vehicles? My question on that is, why are we renting and leasing? Is it because we can't find any to buy, or why are we not buying vehicles and, saving money that way?
You want to do it? We went to a rental pilot program. I think it's 3 years ago now. The biggest reason is we had a difficult time. We never had enough cars. I was taking care of the cars specifically at that time, and we had 65 inspectors and 55 cars. It doesn't do our department any good to be able to put 2 inspectors in one vehicle. It doesn't double the work that they can turn out. Everybody has to have a vehicle. It's vital for them to be able to do their job. Due to the fact that the General Services works on the budget as well, when in purchasing vehicles, we never were able to get enough vehicles to have one for every staff member, for every inspector. So we proposed this rental program. What it done for us is everybody had a car every day. And I'm not taking anything away from any other department, but due to general services and as many vehicles as they do take, we turn one in for service and they may have it for a week or 10 days, which that week or 10 days, I had somebody sitting in the office. The turnaround time for a rental vehicle, we're never down over a day. So it enabled us to take our turnaround times for inspections down, keep inspectors on the road, and everybody had new quality vehicles.
Have you seen cost-wise that we're saving money by doing the leasing compared to buying? You know, what you're saying about general services, I've heard from multiple departments over all the years that they're just terrible when it comes to buying vehicles for Metro. But back to the question, have you found that it's cheaper to lease?
Overall, operating wise, it's not cheaper to lease, but as in terms of capital spending, it's cheaper than replacing whole vehicles. So we're not saving money operationally, but general services will save that money in capital expenditures, replacing vehicles each year or every 3 years.
Okay. You mentioned it earlier, and it's something I've been pushing for since 2019, about how much of the permitting process is now electronic?
Currently, the permitting process is for the codes department, you can do it all online. Your application can be made online. Plan submittal is you can submit plans online. It can all be done online.
Okay. And the last question is more of asking for clarification or maybe for general information for the general public. You mentioned your expectation by the end of the fiscal year is of over $4 billion in building permits, the value. Can you kind of explain to, those of us who are first timers and to the general public, somebody hears, oh, the codes department's going to rake in $4 billion next year. Can you explain like exactly what that cost is and actually how much of that value actually comes back to Metro?
That's a number of the cost of construction value, the value of what's being built. It's nothing that we collect.
It's basically a barometer of what's happening outside. You could take, that's the value of the new work that is being constructed out in the city. So you can take that figure and balance it against previous years and understand where your growth is relative to last year and the year before.
All right. Thank you, Chair. That's all the questions I have for right now.
Thank you so very much, Chair Bradford. Vice Chair Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question about one of your responses on your questionnaire, number 3. You talk about the COLA increase for a data analyst. Is that a field position? Like, is that person not covered by the Metro COLA?
They are. That is an ITS employee, but we pay 100% of his salary.
Okay.
So codes would be responsible for any cost of living increases this employee gets every year.
Oh, okay.
And merit as well. It's an open range employee.
Okay. So if you didn't get this $10,200, that person wouldn't get a COLA?
In theory, yes, but we're in a fortunate position to have enough in our salary savings to cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very much, Vice Chair Toombs. Do we have any other questions? Oh, just kidding. Next, we have Councilmember Allen, then Councilmember Quinn Evans Single, then Councilmember Gamble. My apologies, y'all. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you for remembering me, Madam Chair. Glad to have you back. And we've talked about new nighttime inspectors that are actually, I think, under the budget of the nightlife. So we're not seeing them here in your budget, is that right? But they're going to be under your purview.
Right, so we're taking 2 property standards positions, and they're already funded, and sending them over to Director McDonough for the Director of Nightlife so that he will have 2 positions there that he desperately needs. We've got the positions that are currently unfilled. He needs those positions, and we recognize that. So we're going to send them over to him.
Okay, I'm excited about that. So when I see your number of employees staying at 166, are there 2 other positions that y'all are gonna move into your,
Oh, those
Department.
two are included in the 166. So we'd go to 164 once we do the transfer.
once you do the transfer, but that, okay, that's not here. Okay, and then, again, just to kind of follow up on what they're gonna be doing, is it in your budget, this is not a big item, but to make them effective, will they have noise and light meters that will hold up in court?
Yes, that's part of their supplies, so yes.
Yes.
And can you all make sure to answer into the mic
Oh,
for the
yes.
viewing audience?
So they'll have the equipment, and whether it holds up in court is a whole nother thing.
Okay, it just needs to be calibrated well. So I know that there are so many constituents that are excited that we will now have an effective mechanism, I think, to deal with things that have been in our code for many, many years, but we haven't been able to effectively enforce it because there's nobody there at night, and now there will be. And then one more question. I keep hearing about the CAL system that is going to ultimately maybe replace CityWorks in terms of how codes and budgeting and all those things goes. Can you just talk about whether that affects budget and where we are in that process, and if that will ultimately save money or cost money?
Yeah, so right now, that would be more of an ITS question. I know they're
Okay.
in the high planning level right now, so we haven't had budget conversations as of today, but I know they're coming. So we will definitely keep you all posted on that.
Okay, I'll follow up with IT.
So
Thank
that's,
you.
as you know, that's a whole new platform
Whole new.
that's
Right.
going to replace currently CityWorks and do a lot more things for a lot more departments. The simple takeaway is this platform will allow all departments that have a say-so in the development services world to be able to track and see what each other are saying so that we are all operating off of the same platform.
That will be a great thing. Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Quinn Evans-Siegel, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank y'all. I mean, I think a lot of people think of codes as like we've put in that our, neighbor hasn't moved their broken down car, but the fact that you're responding to 42,000 of those a year and over 50,000 permits, it's just an incredible amount of work, particularly given your staff. I just want to talk about, and then also that you're adding other languages while doing it. I think it's really, really important and needs to be talked about. So thank you. But we've got 17 vacancies, and I just want a little bit of clarification on what those are. Sort of, are these salary issues? Are they these, a lot of what you do is pretty niche. It requires a very particular type of person with a certain type of educational background. So I just want to hear a little bit more.
So it's some of all that, and I'm going to address that at a very high level. So several years ago, and Byron alluded to this, the codes department was in a very understaffed position. So we hired a third-party analyst to come in and take a look at all of our processes and make a recommendation as to how many employees codes would need. That recommendation came, and thankfully, in previous budgets, the council recognized that and allocated these positions. Those were a lot of positions, and we desperately needed them. But the problem is that we don't have the space to put them currently. And a bigger problem is that with these positions comes training, and a lot of it. And that's not something that you can just hire somebody off the street and then put them to work. It takes time to do that. And when you're training somebody, you're taking somebody that's already there doing a job and slowing them down while they're in the process of training. So what we decided to do was stage this and implement this kind of in segments, if you will. So we would hire some and train them, and the following year hire some more and train them. And that's why this has become kind of staggered. And so that's kind of big picture.
Funding was staggered over a couple.
Right, and that's right, yes. So the funding part of that, we also staggered that as well. So we couldn't absorb everything that the recommendation was made. We couldn't absorb all that in 1 year. We couldn't handle it.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. And then I think the state has maybe changed some state laws on what we have to do ourselves versus what we send out. And I'm just curious, are we sending things out? How is that a part of the plan currently going forward?
So if you're referring to House Bill 1892, for the codes department only, that, I'll speak to that and to no other department. So for codes department only, that bill does a couple of things. One, it allows for third-party plan reviews. We already do that. No effect on codes. It allows for third-party inspections. We already do that. No impact on codes. Now, as a practical matter, our turnaround now for our inspections is at 1.5 days. The reality of that is that if you call in for an inspection this morning, you're going to get it today. If you call it in at 3:30 this afternoon, you're going to get it tomorrow. So statistically, we're at 1.5 days. There's no incentive for anybody to have a third-party inspector come in, but we're turning it over that quickly. So there's no effect there. In terms of the plan review, it provides for third-party plan reviews and provides timeframes. We, the Coast Department, already allow for third-party plan reviews, and we're already operating within those timeframes. So the net result is no effect on us. Would you agree?
Thank you. That's really, really helpful. And that's also an incredible stat. I think people maybe forget that y'all were so understaffed that 2 years ago it could take 2 weeks to get an inspection. As one of the many, many Nashvilleians who lived through renovation during COVID. I am grateful for the work y'all do, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Now we have Councilmember Gamble. You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for the level of work that you have done. I remember back in 2019, we were asking for a lot of improvements, and you all have made those improvements, and really appreciate the work that you all are doing. Just a question of curiosity, on the budget line under Special Purpose Fund, there's a line item for professional and purchase services. I think it's $275,000. What is involved in that? And it looks like last year we spent less than that, about $95,000 less than what was proposed or what was budgeted. Just wondering what is included in that amount?
Thank you for your question. That is for our demolition fund. And so I'm so proud to say, just this week, we finally have a fully executed multi-year residential and commercial demolition contract. So the reason why you see that savings there is that we weren't able to get purchases through, and now working with Michelle Lane and her team, we have really leaps and bounds. So now we have a contract. Now you'll see movement on those expenses, and that is for demolitions.
That is
Yes.
wonderful.
So
Does
proud of
that
that.
include demolitions for houses that have been abandoned or fire and the owners aren't tearing them down? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Thank you. I have quite a couple
so
of those in
thankful
my
as well.
district that have,
Yeah.
it's taken years to get that done.
Right.
So that is great to hear. Thank you so much for that.
Very welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember Gamble. Do we have any additional questions? I'll go back to Chair Bradford. Do you have any additional questions? All right, seeing none, we will bring this hearing to a close. Thank you all so much again for all the work that you all do. And Director, I did just want to publicly say Mr. Dodd does just such a great job working with us as our liaison. And I also just have to shout out Monica Bishop because she helps out so much in our community and just does a really great job at being responsive when we're having incidents in the community and just needing to reach out, frankly, all times of night sometimes about something that's happening. Maybe somebody's doing construction at times that they aren't supposed to, and your staff is just always very accessible to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure, and we really appreciate it. And we're indeed fortunate to have Monica and Will both. I see Will back there blushing, so everybody can come back to run and look at him.
Thank you again, and thank y'all for coming out today. That brings this hearing to an end. Viewers.